today. So thank you for being here. This is a virtual information session about the 2026 Imagining America National Gathering, which is coming up this October, the 23rd through the 25th in Davis, California. I'm Stephanie Maroney. I'm the Managing Director of Imagining America, and so I'm going to share a little bit of a presentation that has information to help you prepare a proposal and submit for the call for participation. The theme this year is Tides of Transition, Restoring Collective Spirit in Troubled Times. So I'll share more about that theme and some of the questions that we have as you develop your proposal. I also want to share this beautiful image that we borrowed from Taller Arte Nuevo de Amanecer, or TANA, which is based here at UC Davis and is a screen print and community art workshop located in Woodland, California, and affiliated with the Chicano Studies Department at UC Davis. And this piece was created by Angelica Sauceda. And some of the other images you'll see in these slides are from the TANA archive of other artists and students that have created silkscreen prints there. So for folks who maybe don't know so much about IA or about the IA Gathering, I will provide a little more background. The 2026 National Gathering is organized in partnership with the University of California, Davis, as well as a regional steering committee composed of folks within the city, within the university, and beyond, artists and students and community organizers and culture keepers. And we're inviting our larger IA community to gather here in Davis, California for the gathering from October 23rd through the 25th of 2026. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. ImaginingAmerica.org is our website, and it's a great resource for lots of things that we'll be sharing about the gathering in particular. Right now, you can go visit that website to view the full call for proposals or call for participation. You can sign up for Whova, which is an app resource that you could download on your phone, or you can also access through the web, but which is the primary portal that we'll be using for the call for participation process. So it'll be important for you to become familiar with Whova in order to submit your proposal. So you can also find the online submission form there. In the coming months, the website will be updated with information about registration for the IA National Gathering. That's going to launch the first week of June, as well as travel support, the hotels that we're contracting with to offer a discounted rate for gathering participants, and a program at a glance as that starts to take shape, recognizing the different session times as well as the plenaries times across the 3 days of the gathering. The 2026 National Gathering is organized by IA. So for folks new to our community, Imagining America Artists and Scholars in Public Life is a national organization based here at UC Davis. And we bring together scholars, artists, designers, humanists, and organizers to imagine, study, and enact a more just and liberatory America and world. The IA network works across institutional, disciplinary, and community divides to work at the kind of intersections of the three interlocking circles there on this slide of cultural organizing and promoting public scholarship and campus culture change toward the effort of the production of public knowledge and our collective imagination. The National Gathering is our annual convening of that network of more than 500 artists and designers and teachers, students, and organizers that address the most pressing issues of our time on a theme that changes from year to year and is organized collectively with folks in a different place year to year. Gatherings are really 3-day immersive experiences where we connect and dialogue and learn and strategize on the way that the arts, humanities, and design can be leveraged locally and regionally towards transformative action. This year's call for participation is on the theme of Tides of Transition, restoring collective spirit in troubled times. So we reflected really on the importance of transitions from political crises and global climate change transitions to personal identity or organizational transformations. And we're inviting proposals from our network that might share stories, research, creative works, or community practices that explore that complex process of transitioning away from the systems of fear and domination and towards restoring our collective spirit. So there's an invitation to restore and honor the places, the knowledges, and the relationships and the ecologies that have been made broken through centuries of violence or abandonment, and which feel like really there's a current intensifying of fear and repression in our moment now. And we know that the communities we are a part of or that we work with and that we try to support and advocate are tired. And we know that being together, though, is a way to revive that collective spirit, to take shelter in one another in this time. And that gives us the strength and the inspiration we need in troubled times. So, in this moment of upheaval, the 2026 IA National Gathering is really drawing participants to Davis in that spirit of mending the roots of our connections and to awaken, as Buddhist monk and activist Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, from the illusion of our separateness. Proposals in response to this CFP will be due Tuesday, June 30th. More to say about that. On the themes of transitions, we worked regionally with a group of about 26 of our steering committee members to come up with a theme and idea. And we went through a lot of different possibilities about what feels urgent and important in this moment. But transitions became the larger framework that we were thinking in order to mark and name this process of transformation and change that can be experienced individually, such as gender transitions or transitions in our careers or life or death transitions, but also experienced collectively during shifts in economic, ecological, political, or global systems of which we are all simultaneously experiencing. Transitions are experienced dynamically and often cyclically. They ebb and they flow like the tides. They're constantly changing, but yet always returning. And it's very hard sometimes to see the end of a transition when you're at the beginning or the middle of it. It often requires us to let go of some sense of how things are going to come out or a perfect outcome. And the transitions then invite us to embrace an unknown and accept that we're going to be changed in the process, but still keep an eye towards how we can organize that emergent change together. The 2026 IA National Gathering is also marking a transition within Imagining America as an organization, as this occasion will be the last event organized by the IA UC Davis-based team before Imagining America moves to a new home campus in July of 2027. We'll be making that announcement in the coming months. It's very exciting. This is a natural cycle of transition for IA, which changes institutional homes every 10 years. And we're excited to celebrate the good work that we've done together here in the UC Davis headquarters over the past decade, but to also join this new host in dreaming up the possibilities of what's to come. Here in the Davis area, Sacramento area, or the Yolo County bioregion, this larger regional zone, we are kind of inspired by some of the work that's happening here in order to think about transitioning away from those systems that are no longer serving us in our communities. So, in refusing and retreating from extractive or violent imaginaries that have birthed the dominant political systems in the social worlds in which we live, what other beings and ways of thinking and doing might we turn toward in our work and in our communities to do that work of restoring our collective spirit? We've been inspired by work to restore tule marshes here in the Sacramento Delta, with cultural fires, taking care of grasslands and doing risk fire management in our region, with salmon-rich waters that are the result of dams being brought down in our waterways, and through agricultural harvests and relationships to land and food that nourish us rather than deplete the soils. So, how might we learn to live and love and thrive in these landscapes that might actually be beyond full repair? Wintun Maidu culture bearer Diana Almendares, who's also on our steering committee, has worked for decades to restore the wetlands of the Yolo bioregion where UC Davis is located. And she remarks that restoration is actually an impossibility given the levels of extraction that this epicenter of the gold rush, of the gravel rush, and also industrial agriculture has really seen in the last 2 centuries. So instead, she asks us, how might we come together as allies and acknowledge those past harms, but then forge new futures that weave together knowledges and traditions that are old and new for our collective thriving. Inspired by Diana's work, inspired by this land and agricultural region, and hopefully inspired by the theme itself, we want to share a little more framing for you to get inspired as you think about what you might want to propose and share for the gathering. So, Tides of Transition is seeking your stories of transition. So, it might be about that generative beginning of possibility or the mucky middle where it's difficult to know what the future holds, or even those places of arrival that have been born of great collective change. The call for participation invites examples of your critical imagination, demonstrations of collective care, intergenerational knowledge practices, or creative practices and actions, or really other activities that we can't even dream up, but that demonstrate how this enduring spirit of our expansive Imagining America community, made of students and artists and educators, organizers, cultural workers, and scholars of all kinds, can thrive through transition. So some inspirational questions might be, what is the role of imagination during this transitional moments? What practices are there to restore our collective spirit or provide collective nourishment during times of uncertainty? How might personal transitions connect to and inspire collective action and vice versa? How do methodologies of the arts, humanities, and design create possibilities for connection through transition? Are there historical examples that we can point to as inspiration for how to be together? Are there stories and research and creative works that might demonstrate this tidal, recurrent quality of a transition? What other ways of being and thinking and doing that might we turn towards in our work to restore our spirits? And through ecological and political transitions, how might we come together as allies to acknowledge past harms, as Diana suggests, but also forge new collective futures? To prepare your submission to the call for participation, we invite you to consider one of the following formats. You could share a presentation about your research, your practice, or your artistic work in a kind of 5-minute option that we call a lightning talk, or a longer option that's our projects and practices presentation, which could be up to 15 minutes. If you want to lead an interactive discussion or workshop that's really kind of a participatory moment, you could have a full 75 minutes to lead a participatory workshop. Or you could do something different entirely. And we have this creative works category that might invite options or ideas that don't really fall into the formats we've suggested. We ask that if you do submit a proposal, please be prepared to share your work on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, as we do organized sessions across those 3 days. If you choose the session of a lightning talk, it's a brief presentation where a single speaker can share current or past work, creative outputs, a media piece, or an artistic practice, or sing a song, really any type of shared work in a 5-minute presentation from a single speaker. So 6 lightning talks will be scheduled in each session block. So you could submit your own individual proposal for your 5-minute proposal, or if you're a group of 6, you could submit a lightning talk session where each of 6 of you are listed as co-presenters to have a full 75-minute block. So thinking either or is available. If you submit a singular one, organizers will put you into a session with similarly situated topics. In this format, each speaker has 5 minutes to present, and there's opportunity at the end to kind of integrate shared concepts in a group discussion after everyone shares. Everyone is welcome to and encouraged really to share their work at the IA National Gathering across all of our offerings. But we find that this format is particularly accessible for folks that maybe haven't shared out their work before, or who would like to participate in the IA National Gathering program, but don't necessarily want or need to have such a full 75-minute workshop, for example. So we really do encourage people to make use of this offering and share any kind of work that they want to share out. Speakers can choose to use a visual guide, a poster or a presentation, video or audio clips, but it's not required. The second session or format we're offering is our projects and practices. So this is a longer 15-minute presentation slot where individuals or groups or pairs could share compelling outcomes or lessons learned, methods, or collective change projects that emerge from their community-based projects that center the arts, performance design, or humanities practices, which are the core parts of IA's work. When you're submitting something for a project in practice, we do ask that you pre-select 2 themes so that when folks get grouped together, there is some similarity across formats. And those are based on the call and the work of IA. So creative community arts, public engaged scholarship, cultural organizing, the general theme of transitions, or this practice of collective spirit. In each of these 75-minute sessions organized by the themes, 3 groups will each give the 15-minute presentation, and then there'll be that remaining time, to accommodate transitions between presentations, but also to have shared discussion across the projects. Another option we offer is the full 75 minutes for you to lead a participatory workshop. So using this session format, facilitators set the agenda, they organize activities over the full session block. It could focus on skill development, artistic or creative practices. It could be a participatory engaged performance or movement. It could be a guided collective activity or an interactive dialogue around a pressing issue or action. We really encourage workshops to be highly interactive and collaborative spaces that provide opportunity for everybody to co-create something together, rather than, for example, a 75-minute session where participants are mainly listening. We really invite proposals that engage, activate, and provide opportunities to co-create with participants. And finally, the last format option to consider are our creative works. So these are creative alternative proposals that could be visual or material work. It could be a collective art making activity. And it could be ongoing in the sense that it's something that lasts throughout the 3 days of the gathering or could be in a session, but doesn't need to be limited to a single session. Creative works can be set up in our shared gathering spaces, such as our registration hub or a reflective room or other self-directed spaces where participants can get their own instructions, or it could be staffed and we can work with you. So if selected, the IA staff will reach out to talk about specific setup needs and what you might need for that. But this is always just such a fun contribution to the gathering, and it's ranged from visual works that are presented on the walls, to interactive activities, to media sessions, to podcast stations. So there's a lot to consider here. So for the final part of the presentation, I want to just walk through the actual how do you submit process. So just a reminder that Tuesday, June 30th is the deadline. And every proposal submission does need the following 6 pieces of information, which I'll go through in detail one by one. Just a note, and this is different from previous years for Imagining America, this year all of our submission proposals will go through the Whova app. This information that's shared here can also be found on the IA website, as well as a link to how to access Whova and how to download it on your phone or on your computer device, to create an account, and then it'll be a portal for you to submit your proposal. This is also the app that we'll use to build the program, so it really makes things kind of streamlined for you and for us down the line. So just know that this year everything will go through the Whova app for our proposal submission process. For the first bit of information required for each proposal, we want your information, so your name, but also any of your co-presenters. So for example, if you're leading a workshop with 4 other folks, we ask you to share their information now. Or if you want a full 6-session space for lightning talks, you would put all of those 6 presenters into the single submission. So all the organizer information is needed, which is name, an email, and affiliation. There is an option to update this down the line, but give us your best shot. Please do select one of those formats. So that could be the lightning talk, the projects and practices presentation, the participatory workshop, or a creative work. We ask you to share a title and then a session description. So in 350 words or less, just describe the activities that will take place in the session, or, if it's a lightning talk, share more about the context for the work you do or what you're going to share out. You could explain the nature of any collaboration that the work might be representing or drawing from. But just be sure to give enough information here so that reviewers can understand what the session's about and what people might experience from attending. The other two pieces of information we ask for, the fifth piece here, is in 200 words or less, we ask you to describe how this session contributes to Imagining America as an organization or to the IA National Gathering theme specifically. So this is an opportunity to reflect on how the work of Imagining America is present in your work, either through our mission, history, or values, and you can find that on our website, or how it might connect with ongoing projects within the IA network, and also contribute to the gathering's focus on transitions that might articulate how the session can deepen participants' understanding of the theme or some dimension of the theme of transition broadly. And finally, we ask you to reflect in 200 words or less the goals for the session. So this might be a little more straightforward if you're sharing a lightning talk or a projects and practice presentation, but certainly for workshops or for creative engagements, we do want you to share with as much detail as possible what participants will actually learn and do during the session, if there's any tools or outcomes or resources that people will carry away from the world or into the world from the session. And the reviewers would be interested to hear what people will benefit and learn from by attending. So what happens next? Well, proposals are accepted through June 30th via that Whova portal. So please do spread the word, reflect on what submission you might want to do, and make sure to get it in before June 30th. And then in July, all of the submissions are reviewed by members of our National Gathering Steering Committee. And then in late July or early August, we'll send out notifications to everyone about the status of the proposal, whether it's been accepted or not. And all attendees, including our presenters, do need to register for the IA National Gathering, and registration will open in June. If you're accepted, we'll ask you to finalize all your information, your title and your description, confirm your co-presenters, communicate any technology or other needs by mid-August, so we finalize the program. And then on the National Gathering website, we'll be sharing program, travel, and lodging details so that you can book your trip and get your rooms as it becomes available. And then the last step is to join us. So attend the 2026 IA National Gathering from October 23rd to the 25th here in Davis, California. And certainly this presentation is focused on submitting a proposal for the call for participation, but to come and participate in the IA gathering without submitting or without sharing research is also tremendously rewarding and fun and wonderful. So we do hope that even if you don't end up being able to submit a proposal, that you still come and enjoy all the work and creative opportunities that are shared here at the gathering. At this point, I'm going to invite any questions that you might have, but certainly want to direct everybody to the National Gathering website, which is imaginingamerica.org/whatwedo/National Gathering. There's some beautiful pictures here of UC Davis, our Arboretum, artworks by Arneson, and the awesome student-run bus service Unitrans. But yeah, right now I think we're going to stop recording, and I'm happy to look at chat or have folks just raise their hand and ask questions here in the space that we have remaining. Thank you.